Okay, everybody. Welcome to the Sun City Liberal Club meeting here on May 4th. And we are going to start this with the Pledge of Allegiance, led by our Vice President Janice.
Thank you, Norma. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Very good. How's everybody doing tonight? Everybody vertical? Anybody horizontal? No, I don't want that. And it's an exciting time this time. We've got a lot of work ahead of us, and we're going to make some magic, really magic. Our meetings, I just want to remind you, are videotaped each month by our illustrious leader, Norman Wright. Donations are being accepted for the 50-50. Did everybody buy their tickets? Raise your hand if you didn't, and then if you want. Okay, I don't see many hands, but a lot of people bought. Oh, one. You want more, Eric? Oh, you got them already. I see. Okay. Does everybody know we're having a picnic on May 17th? That's a Sunday. We're asking for some volunteers if you can. But it's going to be the usual fare, the hot dogs and hamburgers with the usual salads and nice things. There's going to be dessert also, but if you are so moved, please bring a dessert. Location, thank you, is at the picnic area in Desert Vista by the patrol office. Okay. So there's a lot of space, but not a lot of chairs. So if you're coming, please bring your own chair. Okay? From 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. That should be good enough. I'm sorry? What's the time? I don't know. We'll hope for the best. Okay, on May 19th, I'm having a Palooza postcard party. There's I think 8 states we're going to be writing to. If you are so moved, my house can take 12 people comfortably. I can take another 6, but you have to be out at the picnic table. So if it's hot as hell, get there early. May the 19th. It's, I believe it's a Tuesday? Tuesday? Yes? Good. May 19th. And it's important, we want as many people to come. Is that Roy?
Are you going to post your address? I know you don't want to get everybody here unless you do.
Yeah, listen, I'm not posting my phone number. Who's got birthdays in May? Come on. Stand up. And there's another one here? Someone? No? Okay, how about a round of happy birthday? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Democrat. Happy birthday to you. I know it's a good job. I do. Norman, are we ready to continue on? Where are you?
And I want to say, one of the reasons why we're recording it is, one, for posterity, and two, there's a lot of things that can go on with AI, and people take things out of context and everything, and we have people speaking here. So if somebody says something, I don't want somebody who may have a camera or a whatever to say, hey, this is what the person said, when they cut it off, and then all of a sudden you have something else. We also have our own YouTube channel, so it goes out to the world if anybody wants to get it. And Does anybody know where this came from? All right, this proves an amazing intelligence, okay? And actually what this is the Montreal Cognitive Assessment Test, okay? Now, it goes all through there, but you will never because I've given tests, working in my field and everything, you never put two words that are related to each other. So you would never have man, woman, person, camera, TV. Anybody can remember those 5 words really easily. The words actually that they have on the test is, where is it there? Face, velvet, church, daisy, red. So if somebody wants to remember those words, face, velvet, church, daisy, red. Okay, maybe I'm not as smart as Trump. Well, anyway, we're joking, but unfortunately, this man has people convinced that he is knows everything about everything, knows more than the doctors and everybody else. But I just want to put that in there. I want to show another thing here, okay? And talking about birthdays. Well, oh no, okay, here it is. On the link cover, to show you what AI can do or what you can do to fill. There is one person in this picture who is not in there when the picture was taken. So when you're looking at your Link magazine at home, I'd like you all to guess who was not the person who was in the picture. Because I just want to show you what can be done with photography, okay? And you could have somebody say, hey, I was there when the murder was committed. Here's a picture of me, And I'm just telling you what can be done with AI and photography. And it can be very misleading, to say the least. I'm not going to tell you who it was. Speaking of birthdays, Alexis, your birthday is April 22nd. I'm born a day before you and many years after, okay? And Alan and Melanie and I were out at a restaurant, and I get this text on the phone, and I'm saying, where did this come from? What is this? And here, and I'm showing this in a part to say, here, this is something that I did. I'm also showing maybe that we need to get back to the sanity of where we were in 1984, even though there wasn't sanity then. Whoops, wait a minute. I'm leaving the voice off on here. This young man is named Hector Del Valle. He became a C5, C6 quadriplegic, 17 years old in 1982 as a result of drinking and driving. I am there, right in back of him there, and it blew my mind because here we are meeting President Reagan. And I knew it made the news, but then I get this text and all of a sudden, there we are with Reagan and all, me there in the background smiling like that. Hector is still alive, he is vibrant, he is setting up a $10+ million home or a series of homes for people with disabilities. He's got and I'm not going to go into all of that. But what I want to do is, if you looked at what President Reagan said back then, maybe nobody in this room voted for, maybe we did. But you know what? He made sense. And why I'm bringing this up is because we want to get the Reagan Republicans, the people who are really not liking what is going on here. And we want to be talking to our friends and our neighbors. Not be afraid, because I know there's a lot of people there who are not liking what's happening here. So I just want to bring that up. Yes, Ellie.
Marjorie Taylor Greene's speech the other day.
Yep, I put it out on a blast. So if you did not, that's how. I sent it out. And the cracks of last month, we had a number of people who were breaking ranks and everything. And I don't trust Marjorie Taylor Greene more than I can throw her, but let's take advantage of everybody who is out there saying what is happening now is not sane. It's really, when you talk about derangement, there's things that are going on that are really upsetting. Anyway, I'm going to go back to, I want to introduce our first speaker here. Alexis, do you mind if that's up in the background when you speak? Alexis, you want to come on up here? We had Aaron Ford last month, so we're having Alexis this month. Now, Alexis, we met at a Democratic convention or whatever. She is here from Reno, so she's got to get her flight back, 7:30, the latest time, to make the plane. So you want to take it away? We've got about a half hour to go and do your thing, all right, Alexis?
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Thank you. I am so thrilled to be with you tonight. My name is Alexis Hill, and I'm running to be Nevada's next governor. And I'm running because Nevada needs change. I have talked to so many Nevadans who are feeling the squeeze. It used to be that in Nevada, you could work at the casinos and you could buy a job or buy a house. And you could raise a successful family. And it is harder and harder for Nevadans to make it. And we wonder why. Certainly on the national level, we know that Trump is terrorizing our state, terrorizing our country. We need a governor who's going to stand up against him. We know that Trump is responsible for the biggest tax breaks and cuts for billionaire class in our country, which only allowed for all of the states to have to cut SNAP benefits and Medicaid benefits. And guess what? We actually could have stood up and we could have filled in the gap and made sure that people were getting their food benefits and that people are getting their Medicaid benefits. But do you know why we can't as a state? It's because we do not have the leadership we need. We do not have a governor who cares about the people. Joe Lombardo, guess who he cares about? Who just donated to his campaign account, right? Just talking to Nevadans, I think the scary thing about Joe Lombardo is that many people don't know a whole lot about him because he doesn't do a whole lot and he doesn't talk a lot. And the news doesn't cover all the vetoes that he did in the 2 sessions that he has served as governor to make it so we didn't have ways to protect our renters, we didn't have ways to protect working families who need childcare and housing. And so he is a crisis because he is part of the Trump administration. We know that because of the Trump administration, our state has suffered the most. And why is that? Okay, we need people to come to Nevada and spend their money here. And no one wants to come to Nevada right now because it is extremely expensive and because of our immigration policies, especially under this governor, our immigrant communities are not feeling safe. Our working families they do not have the expendable income to come to our state. And we know that people are suffering under this administration, this careless administration that doesn't care about the working person, doesn't care about the Nevadan who has 2 to 3 jobs just to make it in this state. We need a governor who actually wants to fight for the working Nevadan and who can fight President Trump and these policies. But because our state has decided to bend over and acquiesce to billionaire interests and corporate interests, we are left in a very vulnerable position. Who lived in this state during the Great Recession? Did anyone live here during the Great Recession? Yes, painful time, right? 21% unemployment. You remember how tough it was that we are still, honestly, as a state, trying to climb back out of that. And the reason for that is because in Nevada, we do not have enough resources to pay for basic services for our community members. We are 48th in per pupil funding. in the United States. Is that acceptable? That is not acceptable. That means that our kids are not getting the same investments as half of, almost all of the United States. And we see it in our test scores. And we see it in the teachers who have huge class sizes and the special needs kids who are not getting the care that they deserve in our schools. We are in a healthcare desert, right? How hard is it to try to get a primary care doctor in this state? How about a specialist? My mom has Parkinson's. We have to go out of state for her care. And that's a privilege and something that we have capacity for. Most families do not have capacity for that. How about to see just a therapist? How about to talk about your issues? I've talked to so many folks, especially in the Summerlin area, trying to find a therapist who accepts Medicaid, who lives or who has an office in this area is very difficult. And that's, again, because we do not have the providers we need in this state. We also know that we have some of the most unsafe roads in the United States, and it's because we do not have the funding to invest in them. So not only is the federal government preying on our state, and we are affected so much more than the rest of the United States because of the way our economy is set up, and because we can't find the funding for basic services to fill the gap. But our state is letting down Nevadans today in the way that it is. I am a county commissioner. You heard from Norm, I live in Washoe County. I actually come down to Clark County every week for this campaign since I announced in September. It's a joy to connect with community and answer your questions and learn about your issues on the ground. But I'll tell you, in all of the counties in our state, they are all running deficits. And it's not because they're spending money that they should be spending or being irresponsible. It's because that they do not have enough money to deal with the major issues of our day. Homelessness, housing crisis, mental health care crises. The state is not standing up and supporting our counties to do the business of the people. And as a county commissioner, I'm sick of it. I know we could do better. And listen, I am not talking about taxing you. You already paid. I think there was a great meme that was on social media, I think it was Las Vegas locals, that talked about how the tax burden in Las Vegas is higher than you would think, and in Nevada is higher than you would think, because the working person pays a higher percentage of tax in this state than the billionaires and corporations who are benefiting off of the working person in Nevada. So you pay some of the highest gas taxes, some of the highest sales taxes, some of the highest vehicle registration taxes in the United States, while billionaires are able to invest in our state, buy up properties throughout our counties and make it impossible for our working families to buy and afford housing, and they are paying very low taxes. So much so that they don't even have to pay on their investment income to the state of Nevada because of a loophole in our tax system. Additionally, how about gaming and mining? I talk to Nevadans across the state and I ask them, who do you think is in charge of this state? And Nevadans will say mining, or gaming, or big tech. I don't hear anyone saying the governor. Do you know why? Because our governor has received over $1 million from one mining company for his campaigns over the last 2 cycles. So you cannot tell me that money does not play a role in his decision-making when he is firing the water master who is supposed to be regulating their activities. It is not okay what is happening in this state. And I think that the biggest priority that Nevadans need to have and Democrats need to have is getting Joe Lombardo out of office. That needs to be our #1 priority. And I know it's uncomfortable for Democrats to have a primary and to have a little fight within the party, if you will. But I don't think of it that way. I think of it as a great opportunity to have a policy discussion as a party and decide what we believe in. And I have been running on making sure that people pay their fair share in this state. And I have been speaking openly about how mining is not paying enough. Gaming is not paying enough. We are giving away our future to tech companies and big business with our Governor's Office of Economic Development. And we need a governor who actually has the guts to speak out against these special interests and to tell you what they're going to be doing for you. And I'll tell you, my opponent, A.G. Ford, he is not doing that. He is not telling you how he is going to map out the future of this state and how Nevadans will be stronger with him in office. Yes, we need to fight Trump. That needs to be number one imperative, and we have seen governors across the country do incredible work to fight Donald Trump. But we also need to make sure Trump's buddies, billionaires and corporations, Elon Musk, that this state gave over $1 billion to, by the way, we need to hold them accountable as well. We need to make sure that they are paying their fair share as well so we can fund healthcare for this state. So we can have basic services for Nevadans because we deserve it. I don't know about you, but I am sick of being last on the good list and the top of the bad list because we are an incredible state filled with incredibly hardworking people who want the best for all Nevadans and actually see that Nevada can bring the Nevada dream, the American dream, right here in our state. But we need real leadership. And my campaign just did a poll to find out what would happen if there was an Alexis versus Joe on the ballot, and then there was a Joe versus Aaron on the ballot, and what would that look like? And in those polls, I fare better in the general election. And we need a candidate who actually is going to motivate nonpartisans to show up. And I'll tell you why my message is the message that will motivate nonpartisans to show up. Because nonpartisans aren't like you and I. They're not like whatever ideological Democrat is on the ticket is the one that I'm going to vote for. They are like, what's in it for me? Why am I going to show up for a candidate unless they're going to deliver on making sure my life is better? And we know that the governor can't fix the grocery prices, can't really even fix what we have going on with gas prices in this state, but the governor can make your quality of life better. And the way that the governor does that is by investing in your transportation, investing in K through 12 education and higher education so you actually have doctors who want to stay in this state and invest in this state. The doctor can, or the governor can invest in clinics for our rural communities as well as our urban communities, because talk to the doctors here, so many of them are going to concierge medicine because they cannot make it with Medicaid and Medicare alone. Our governor can make sure that Nevadans are healthy so that our system is better for all of us. I have a dream for what could happen in Nevada, and it's about investing in us. I am so sick of every time we hit an economic bump in this state, we're like, who can we give the next tax giveaway to? How about we invest in ourselves? And again, we can still be the lowest tax state in the United States and make sure that people pay their fair share. We need a governor who is going to speak to these special interests, these big interests, even ones that have big money in campaigns, and tell the people about what they are going to do to make their lives better. And have a campaign that talks about investing in them and making Nevada a place for everyone. And that is what my campaign is all about. I love this state. I believe in this state. I believe in the people of this state, but we've got to give ourselves a chance. Because without proper investment on the state level, we are going to continue to fall behind and fail. And who will want to come here? Who will want to visit this state? Who will want to live here? Who wants to live in a state that's just for billionaires and rich people? I don't. That's why Nevada is so great, because it's a place for everyone. And I have a vision for us. I want to put 15,000 new jobs in Nevada for not just giveaways to big corporate tech to bring in data centers, which is really what the Governor's Office of Economic Development is all about. They get 70% tax abatements, by the way, which I would get rid of day one as your governor, as an executive order. But we need to make sure that we invest in good paying union jobs to have proper roads, to have enough teachers, to build housing, to build hospitals, to build daycare centers. That's the kind of investment that Nevada needs. And that's what creates prosperity and what creates excitement for people to relocate here. We cannot continue to be okay with being the last in the nation, because we deserve better. People live here. I know that that's shocking to tourists who come into Vegas, right? Like, people live here. People actually live here. And so we've got to start acting like that. I'm so excited. We have about really 2 weeks left until ballots drop. And so now is the time for you to decide who is going to best represent our party in the general election. I would argue it's a candidate who is grassroots, that's me, who is talking to the people, who has a real idea of what people want to see changed in this state, and who is excited for our future and ready to stand up against special interests. And make sure that they're fighting for your Medicare, make sure that they're fighting for your Social Security, make sure that we're fighting for your health care, and that we're fighting for your quality of life. I believe in this state. I believe in you. I'm excited about what Nevada could do, and if this was the year to bring real change to this state, we got to do it. We can't waste our time. And if you are excited about a new movement for our state, if you are excited about a change for Nevada, then please join me. This is a grassroots effort. We're knocking doors, we're making phone calls, we're texting voters, and we're connecting with people where they're at. So please let Sassier and I think we've given you all business cards if you're excited about a better future for our state. And let's go fight for the future of Nevada, because we deserve it. So thank you.
Can you give an example of something that the governor vetoed that you would not have vetoed?
Just about everything.
Laundry list. But one thing in particular, so I have 2 children. I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. And getting childcare in the state is brutal. And it's incredibly expensive if you can find it. And so one of the solutions that a legislator came up with is saying that HOAs can't prohibit in-home daycare from happening in the state. So HOAs have been prohibiting folks who want to have a small business of having 3 or 4 kids in their home, and that's allowed and currently under state law. So that would prohibit that. The governor vetoed that because he wants to side with HOAs. The governor vetoed a bill that would have ensured that kids in my county could eat lunch during the day. And he vetoed that bill because he said he didn't believe in food waste. The governor has vetoed seeing that we phase out styrofoam and certain types of materials over time in Nevada so that we don't have our landfills filled with these things. The governor vetoed that, saying a farmer deserves a styrofoam cup. And so very basic, rationale for what he does and what he doesn't do in this state. And I'll tell you, he talks about his achievements, and I've been talking to people like, I'm sick of seeing the governor's ads, you know, of all his achievements. He's rebranded the health district. I'm so proud of him. He's supported education. Yes, no question. Monumental $2.3 billion have gone into education. Because of inflation and because of the way that our budgets are in the state of Nevada, if we don't continue to invest in our schools, we will have even less per pupil funding this next fiscal year because the economic forecast for the state is not looking so great. And so his achievements are weak at best. And I think it's important that Democrats point out those specifics, because when you point out the specifics of his actual agenda and what he has not done or what he has vetoed, people get mad because it's unacceptable. Very political. He vetoed all sorts of tenant rights bills. He's in the pocket of big money. Whenever, you know, a big donor calls, he answers and makes sure he vetoes those things. So he's not standing for much more than saying no to regulating his buddies, which are the same buddies as Trump, sadly.
Water.
Just talk about it? Yes, the big plan for water. Yes, I mean, we are in a crisis in this state for natural resources, and we are fighting right now to get our fair share of the Colorado from the compact, and I do think that the governor has been MIA in those discussions. I sit on my water board right now in Washoe County, and we're doing some pretty incredible things to make sure that we have a water supply past, past our, a water supply that will ensure for generations, which also includes making sure that we are using our effluent and properly managing that resource. But the Southern Nevada Water Authority is trying the best that they can in the same way that all of your local governments are trying without the leadership from the state. And I think that there's a real missed opportunity because the governor not only can bring people together to solve these problems, but the governor needs to remember that part of our job at the state level is regulating bad actors. And that's what a proper water engineer for this state would be doing. And those are the type of people that I'm going to be appointing in my cabinet are real scientists, people who are fact-based, who are making sure that they're guiding the future of Nevada and future generations of Nevada. I think it's balancing that growth as well, because we know we need more housing, workforce housing in this state, but we also have to have a way to sustainably build that. And that's part of the governor's role, to have those discussions with local communities and see how they can be supported. So it's a big topic, but I'm ready to engage on it. And it's a crisis in the United States, and we need to make sure that we're fighting back against California users who are essentially using a lot of Nevada water to grow alfalfa and sending it to China. So it's a system that needs to be evaluated. I think that the rumor was when the original allocation came to Nevada and our negotiator went to the table for us, he was drunk, and that's why we didn't get our proper. So that's what Southern Nevada Water Authority is fighting for right now. Okay, yeah, sure, make it easy. We'll just blame Biden, yes. But yes, that's what they're fighting for right now, but they need additional support from the state level and leadership, and that's really what's missing.
The birthday girl. Yeah.
So talking about water, we're getting 2 data centers, one in North Las Vegas, one in Henderson. And apparently, I think one of them uses 650,000 gallons of water a year. So how do we stop these data centers coming here?
Right now, we are incentivizing data centers to come to Nevada, which is crazy, but they are a business model that doesn't need the incentive. They receive 70% 75% tax abatements, walking through the door of the state. Anywhere from a decade to 20 years. And the most recent expose that came out about it was about $400 million has already been spent, taxpayer dollar, on data centers. But there is no reporting, no transparency, no accountability. The reporter for the Indy couldn't get those details, which is very concerning. And any governor's office of economic development should actually show that your investment is paying off for the taxpayer, which I don't think that we're showing right now with data centers. Southern Nevada Water Authority has made it, has restricted evaporative cooling for data centers for any user of their water system. So that's a plus down in Southern Nevada, but it still, as you were saying, uses a lot of water, especially with the energy costs as well. And so I think here's my data center plan. I've had 2 data center town halls, and I have a full data center plan on my website. But first of all, is an executive order to get rid of those tax abatements on day 1. It's unacceptable. Why are we doing that as a state? Number 2 is an executive order to study data centers and make sure that they are worth the bang for their buck, both the energy consumption, the water consumption. The other thing I want to do is work with the legislature and make sure that data centers, when they come online, that they meet the highest portfolio standard. Right now, they have to meet the portfolio standard of today. We have goals to reduce our carbon footprint by 2030, and we may not meet that. So we've got to hold them to that higher standard when they come in for permitting, which is going to be pushing back on NV Energy and making sure that they are getting renewable energy if they're going to be servicing these data centers. So it's an all hands on deck approach to making sure we're properly regulating them. We also, the state needs to help the local governments. The local governments have their zoning requirements, but I'll tell you, in my community, our data center requirements fall under the warehouse requirements. A warehouse and data center are 2 different things. And so that is, in most local governments, they're not well equipped to regulate these uses. So the state, I put that I would like to, in that first session, work with the legislature on siting requirements for data centers, on making sure that they are in the right locations and that they are properly regulated when they go through the development process, in partnership with the local governments, which also would still require them to do whatever is necessary on the local government front as well. So I think that it's about properly regulating these uses. We know that they create a lot of construction jobs. I talked to the plumbers and pipe fitters. They're like, data centers are where it's at. In Northern Nevada, that's where the bulk of the jobs are coming from, in the north. So I think that, when we're looking at this as a state, we also need to say, okay, how else are we going to make sure that we get these jobs, we keep these people employed, and we continue to get new great construction jobs online. And that's where my Nevada Works program comes in, of investing in Nevada infrastructure and getting good paid union jobs on the ground there too. So it's a balance, understanding that there's a business interest there and there's real people who put food on the table that need those jobs, but I want to tackle it because we don't have the resources to continue to do these things unregulated, and certainly allowing for taxpayer money to go out the door, which is why we can't invest in the things we need to invest in the state. Any other questions? Oh, yeah.
What do you think sets you apart from Aaron Ford? And I'm not asking to go negative on him, but what are the big differences, do you think, between you and him?
I have a plan. I have a plan outlining what I want to do on day 1. And I don't think a governor can wait around and wait for direction or wait for the legislature to give us a bill that works for us. The governor needs to hit the ground running. The legislature starts in March after the governor is sworn in next year. It's here. And we have got to make changes in this state. So my plan is an economic plan to invest in small businesses in the same way we invest in the big businesses. It's to invest in our schools, to invest in our healthcare system, to invest in the future of Nevada. And I am talking about taxing billionaires and corporations, and you'll never hear him say that. You'll never hear him say that. And it's because we need a change, and we are paying more than our fair share as individuals. So that's why I'm running. When Ford called me to get an endorsement, when he was running for governor last year, I asked him, what are you gonna do? My county's suffering. My people are suffering. The whole state is in trouble. Every single local government has a deficit. Schools are laying off teachers or using book budgets to fill holes and gaps. What's the plan here? And I didn't get one. I didn't get what he wanted to do to change. I understand about fighting Trump. I think we got to do that. But I have more on my agenda because I want to bring wholesale change to the state because we need it. It's time that we make sure that people pay their fair share so we can pay for basic services and support Nevadans.
Alexis, I'm gonna be.
All right. Yeah.
Roll out an airplane.
Yeah.
There's two more questions.
I can be
One here,
so fast.
someone over there.
Okay.
Also, like, we can always connect.
What can a governor do to change our ridiculous every 2-year legislative schedule to become an annual one?
I mean, that is a partnership with the governor and the legislature. It comes up every meeting I'm in. People want to see a full-time legislature. That's going to be hard to do, not that we can't do it. I have all sorts of ideas on how we can get there. Maybe one session in Carson, one in Las Vegas. We have beautiful brand new government buildings that COVID relief money bought in Las Vegas, so it could easily be done here. But I think that is a discussion that needs to be had. We need to properly compensate legislators and make sure that they have the capacity for the job. Because I'll tell you, as a county commissioner, I'm in the grocery store every day and I hear the issues, but it's harder as a legislator. You're a little bit more disconnected because you're coming in. I mean, I know there's an interim session and I know there's interim meetings, but I think that we owe it to ourselves, again, as taxpayers, to say we want to invest in a full-time legislature. We want to invest in people who have the capacity to do these things.
At least annually.
There was someone else. Let's let them, because it feels everywhere. But let's let them ask the questions. One more over here.
I was just curious where you stand on medically assisted or medically dying.
Yes, absolutely. I would absolutely sign that bill and support that bill. How is it our dogs get better care than we do? It's insane. And I don't know how that's controversial, truly. Yeah, he vetoed that. Yes, another veto, another crazy veto. All right, well, thank you, Norm, and thank you all. It was so nice to connect with you. Please stay in touch.
Nicole, can you come up so that I'd like to get a picture of the two of you together? We're moving the meeting along here. All right. Maybe I got a little Alzheimer's, huh? You know, maybe I'm not as smart as Tom. Anyway, another reason, Nicole, we are recording the meetings, as said before, and I wish that I had a camera going when you were here 3 weeks before you delivered your third child. Running across, we were in the other room over there, running across in your high heels there, and it was really amazing. And, you know, I like that. And, you know, Senator Canzanero and I have known each other for a while there. And this is back there in, yeah, 2025 with this legislative session when I was up there with the Nevada Nurses Association. So I just want to say that thank you for everything you do. We appreciate you. You are our current Senate representative, and you are the majority leader of the Senate. Okay? So if you would like to come in and give your pitch, here you go. The microphone is yours.
Good evening. I was really excited. Actually, I've been telling everybody all day, like, I'm going to Sun City Liberal Club, and I can't wait, because I just love being here with all of you, and have just enjoyed the opportunity to get to be here for, it's crazy. I've been in the legislature now for 10 years, and have been your senator for the last 10, so we go back a long time now. We're good friends. But my name is Nicole Cannizzaro. I currently serve as a senator right here in the beautiful Senate District 6, best Senate district in the whole state, if I do say so myself, and your Senate Majority Leader. But I didn't start off that way, right? I was just a kid who was born and raised here in Las Vegas. My mom was a waitress, my dad was a bartender. They didn't have a high school education, but they knew how to work hard. And like a lot of working families, my parents made childcare work by one parent working the day shift and one parent working the night shift. And that way somebody was always home and somebody was always working. And as the oldest of my siblings, I remember when I started going to school, there were times where my dad would have to come and pick me up from school and then just drop me off with my mom on his way to work. She'd be finishing up her shift, and she worked at a little cafe downtown called the Gourmet Cafe, and it was just down the street from the courthouse. And when I would get there and she'd still be finishing up, she'd say, come on in, like sit down in the back and like, don't cause a ruckus, right? Do some homework. I'm gonna finish and we're gonna go home. And I'd climb into these little red leather booths and I'd watch all these people come in their like fancy suits with their yellow legal pads, and they'd be having lunch in the middle of the day. And I said, who are these people? They're so cool. I didn't know anybody who wore a suit to work, right? We wore suits for weddings and funerals. I didn't know anybody was having lunch in the middle of the workday at a restaurant. And I was like, well, they're lawyers. And I said, yeah, I want to do that when I grow up. Like, that's what I want to do when I grow up. I want to be a lawyer. They seem very cool. And so I feel really lucky because I grew up here in Las Vegas. I'm a proud graduate of Chaparral High School. I earned a Millennium Scholarship, which at the time was paying a good chunk of tuition. I'm a proud graduate at the University of Nevada, Reno for my undergrad. And then I came back home to UNLV, where I graduated with a law degree from the law school. And I started my career at a small firm that did commercial litigation. We represented all different kinds of businesses and stuff like that, and we were suing each other. We had a couple bank clients, and I'll talk about that later. But shortly thereafter, I moved over to the district attorney's office. And I was there for 11 years, most of that time as a chief deputy in the gang unit. So I was doing big racketeering cases and fraud cases, and I remember being in that office one day when I got a case file, and it was just a guy who had been arrested. He had a fake credit card in his pocket. Forged credit card, low-level felony, right, like not kind of a big thing, but there was a lengthy police report, and it just sort of seemed like they had done a little bit more on this case for what it ended up being. So I called the detective and I said, hey, I'm reading this and it just feels like there's more here. And he said, yeah, if you're interested, no one else has been interested. We don't know what to do with this, but if you're game, we'll come talk to you. I said, sure, come on down. So here they come with like bankers' boxes of documents, right? You ever watch like crime shows and they have the format where they've got all the lines connecting all these people? They brought out a whole sheet that was like that. And I was like, what am I looking at? And they're like, well, this is a fraud ring. They're stealing people's identities online. They're wiping people's bank accounts. They're running out credit cards. They're stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars. And no one is interested in taking on these cases. So, we busting a couple low-level guys for fake credit cards and that's it. I said, well, let me do some thinking on this. So I figured out that we could use a racketeering statute. We put a case together. It was 13 co-defendants, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of fraud that had been going on, victims who didn't have anybody who was listening to them and they woke up and didn't have that money. And we won that case. And I won an award for working with a number of different law enforcement entities and taking down that fraud ring. I liked working at the DA's office because it allowed me to advocate and to be a voice for people who maybe didn't have anybody who was fighting for them, right? To right some wrongs. And for me, I liked being able to take on some of those more complex cases, and did so then in the gang unit and won some more awards for that. In 2016, I ran for this Senate seat, and it was a Republican seat. Democrats were in the minority in the state Senate, and I watched in the 2015 session, they were stripping money from education, they were taking away benefits from working families, and I said, look, my parents, right, they came here for the promise of a job, they had good union jobs, we had access to health care, we have to deliver that promise. I only stand here in front of all of you because I was able to get an education. We can't take that away from kids like me. So like, you guys gotta do a better job. And they said, well, you should run for office. So I was running in a really impossible seat, right? This district is very tight, we knocked a lot of doors. We won it by less than a point, a little more than 600 votes out of almost 60,000 casts. Flipped the seat and flipped the majority in the state Senate. And Sandra Hauge is in the back, and she flipped the assembly to Democrat that year too. And so there were this incredible ability, right, for us to make change and to do something that was good. In 2019, I went back and I was elected to serve as the first woman majority leader in state history. So I'm the first woman to lead the Nevada State Senate. And the first female majority legislature in the country, right? Like, we're doing things differently here. And I have loved serving in the legislature because in that time, you know, there's a lot of fights that we were told repeatedly we didn't have to take on, it wasn't our time to take on, they were gonna be too hard, we're gonna make Trump too angry. I've been fighting for reproductive health care in the legislature from the very first session that I was there, right? My very first session, I passed the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act, which gave accommodations for pregnant people in the workplace who were trying to become pregnant, who were pregnant, who were just coming back from maternity leave. It's tough. I know I was here like running around in heels, right, very pregnant, but man, it is hard to be pregnant. Like, that will mess you up. And I've done it 3 times. And all 3 times, either in a legislative session or on the campaign trail. I had my second baby in the last few days of the legislative session, and went back and closed out a budget wearing a baby in a, you know, one of those little wraps. And I've been here before you all speaking with my babies attached to me before. But like, that is hard, right? We should make it easier and healthier for families as they're having kids, right? I've worked on everything from birth control to prenatal care, postnatal care, IVF, abortion protections for providers. The SHIELD law that exists here in Nevada was my bill to protect providers and patients. And every single time that I brought one of those bills, I was told that it was unnecessary, that we didn't need to do it, that it wasn't my place, that this was just, you know, women whining. I have 100% stood in that in a way that I am very proud of, because that actually turned out to be a fight that we actually had to go and fight. And I don't know if you've missed some of the recent headlines, but the FDA just changed how we are doing telemedicine as it relates to reproductive health care. That is going to endanger and is going to kill people across this country. Period, end of story. We have to fight for that. Every single time that I have brought a bill for that, it has been a fight. You are going to have a question on your ballot in November, question 6, that is going to enshrine the right to have an abortion here in Nevada in the state constitution. That started off as my bill in the legislature, where we were trying to give comprehensive reproductive health care rights to everyone in Nevada. And the court sort of struck down some of that language and said, we're not really sure how birth control is connected to abortion, is connected to pre- and postnatal care. And I was like, has anybody ever been around anyone who is even remotely close to having a baby? How do you not understand that this stuff is not connected, right? I had my 3rd baby. That was when I was here running around. When I had him, it got pretty tricky in the delivery room. Things went really bad really fast. And my doctors and nurses, like a scene from ER, came running into the room, and it went so fast. And I didn't know if I was gonna make it. I didn't think my baby was gonna make it. They acted very quickly. Very quickly. They didn't have to question, they didn't have to ask. And that is what having access to reproductive health care means. It means that every time that you are faced with a provider in a dangerous situation, they can act to save your life, they can act to save your baby's life, and they're not gonna wonder about whether or not they're gonna go to jail for what they did. And because our providers were able to act quickly, I am standing here with you today, and that baby is 1.5 years old, climbing all over my house right now. for my work on reproductive health care every single time. I have never once backed down. We are watching right now in real time while the federal government is coming after our right to vote. They are trying to make it harder for people to access the ballot. They are trying to make it harder for you to cast your vote. They are trying to intimidate and discourage people from doing that. In the legislature, I'm proud to have chaired and or sat on the Legislative Operations and Elections Committee every session that I've been in that building. When we did universal vote by mail, that was a piece of legislation that we pushed through. I was the Senate leader at the time, and as soon as we did that, I got attacked by the RNC chairwoman, publicly, actively, on television, on social media, and all of a sudden it was incoming. My mailbox, my phones, there were people in the front of my office threatening me. Hear me when I say that I am never going to back down from making sure that people have the right to vote, because we have fought too hard and too long to ensure that people can access the ballot box. That is something that we cannot let people take from us. And so this last special session, one of the things that I did was put it together, a constitutional amendment that is going to make sure that every Nevadan has the right to vote by mail, to be able to drop that off, so that you can have your voice heard, so the federal government cannot come in here and run over our freedoms. We have to fight that fight now, because it is real that our democracy is at stake. I don't care how many times they want to threaten me, I am still here standing. I am still here. So you heard me. Speaking of, I talk a lot about my kiddos. You all have seen them many times. I'm a very proud mom of 3 wonderful, beautiful, perfect humans. There are people right now in our communities who are afraid to send their kids to school, because if they send them to school, they're afraid that an ICE agent might scoop them up and they will never see their kid again. And they won't know where they are, and they will disappear in custody. I almost can't even say those words without shaking, because it is so horrifying to me to think about that happening. And the idea that there are people living next door to us who are faced with that very real reality is completely unacceptable. And when we were in special session, we were getting a lot of incoming from folks who were saying, you have to do something, you have to do something. And the governor refused to put it on the proclamation. He was like, you're not gonna talk about immigration. Trump's gonna come for Nevada. We have this agreement, the MOU with the federal government. We can't do it, we'll be a sanctuary state. And I said, here's the thing, Governor. You've got this crime bill. This is germane. You can either veto your own bill, or you're gonna sign it with some immigration language. So I worked very, very long and hard with colleagues from both chambers to say, what can we do? We wrote the bill that said ICE cannot be on school grounds without a judicial warrant, not an administrative warrant, not any other thing. They cannot be on school grounds, period, end of story. We worked with local law enforcement to make sure that that language worked for them. And we put in language that says we're not going to share data with ICE, and if somebody is in custody on an immigration hold, you have to make that information publicly available so that their friends, their family, and their lawyers can do that, so that we're not denying people due process and we're not disappearing people into custody, because we are not the kind of nation in the United States where we disappear people into custody and take them away from their families and make sure that they can't have access to due process. That is antithetical to the American ideal, and it is against our constitutional rights. And we are going to do that. We were legislature, we couldn't do it, we can't do it, it's going to make the government mad, it's going to make Trump mad. I don't care if you're mad, because you know what? I am mad. I am mad that we have to have this fight. I am mad that there are mothers who are afraid to send their kids to school. In the legislature, I stand here very proudly. We've had a lot of conversations about everything that you can possibly think of. I am very proud of what we have done in 10 years in the Nevada State Legislature. I am proud of the bills that we have run. I am proud of the legislation that, yes, we might have to take a second attempt at because it got vetoed, but we are going to keep trying like hell to make sure that we are creating the kind of place where you can live and work and raise a family. The kind of place that my parents came to without any education, knowing that their kids could have a better opportunity. That is what we are fighting for. And your first line of defense in all of that right now is your Attorney General. The Attorney Generals in this country are fighting Trump. They're fighting him in the courts. They're standing up for rights. They're protecting consumers from corporations who are taking advantage of people. Because guess what? If you want to sue a corporation because they overcharged you and you're a single person, that's a really hard thing to do. But when you have consumer protection ability from your attorney general to go in and sue a corporation and say, listen, you took advantage of all of these people in the state of Nevada, and we are going to come for you, that's powerful. When your attorney general says, hey, federal government, you're not going to trample on our rights, I am going to sue you, and I'm going to make sure that we hold the line in Nevada, and I don't care how much you want to threaten me, and I don't care how much you want to tell me this isn't the fight, and I don't care how hard this is going to be, I am going to see you in court. Attorneys general have been winning those fights, and they are your first line of defense. So when I stand here and say that I am running to be your next attorney general, and it's one of the most critical races on your ballot, I mean that, and you can go and look it up. If you know about the tariff, the tariff decision, right? That was an attorney general out of Oregon who said, look, I think we should take a look at this. And other states started joining in that lawsuit. So here's why it is important that when we talk about who's going to be the next attorney general, your attorney general is the lawyer for the state of Nevada, right? They advise state agencies and tell them how they can and cannot do things. They sue for consumer protection and hold industry accountable. They enforce the laws of the state of Nevada. And they can sue to stand up for Nevadans' rights and to protect Nevadans and to enforce our constitutional rights. If you are going to hire a lawyer for your family, if you were going to hire a lawyer for yourself, if you were going to hire a lawyer for your business, you would walk in and you would ask that attorney, what kind of cases have you handled? How often have you been winning in court? And what sort of legal experience do you have? You should ask that question of your next attorney general. Because it is imperative, especially because, and here's why. We've all watched what has happened with the Supreme Court, right? It's like a crazy situation that we have a Supreme Court that is so incredibly partisan. One of the things that they have done when we've been talking about naturalization cases and other things, is that they have said nationwide injunctions don't necessarily apply in every case. What does that mean? That means if I, as your attorney general, sue the federal government, and they say, you're right, attorney general, and I win in court, that might apply here in Nevada, but it might not apply in California, or Utah, or Arizona, or Idaho. It just depends. What does that mean for this state and for every other state? It means you have to have an attorney general who is not relying on someone else fighting your battles. It means that you can't rely on, well, I'm just going to run an office and we're going to hope it all shakes out okay. You have to have somebody who knows what it means to put a case together, who understands what it means to fight in court, and who understands what it means to win in court. Because if your attorney general is not doing that, we are losing as a state. Because the federal government is not going to come and protect us. Right? We cannot keep waiting for whoever is going to come and save us. We have to save ourselves. And so, in this race, and it's tough, I have a primary, right? I have a primary. So June 9th is the primary. Early voting starts May 23rd. Mail-in ballots are going to start going out around the end of next week. You'll get a mail-in ballot. If you're going to vote by mail, by the way, if you're going to vote by mail, turn that in early. Okay? If you're going to vote by mail, please turn it in early. That's going to be my one pitch here, my one big ask. If you're going to vote by mail, please turn it in early. Early vote, right? The election's coming up soon. I have a primary. I will be on your primary ballot. If you're a registered Democrat, which I think most people in here are, I will be on your primary ballot. The difference between myself and my opponent in the primary, I'm the only person who has ever represented a client, who has ever walked into a courtroom, who has ever had to prove a case. And I've been doing that successfully for almost 16 years. So, I'll take it. I also am the only person in this race who, when we talk about tough fights, and you want somebody who's going to be a fighter in that office, I'm the only person who's actually been in tough fights for 10 years in the legislature as your state senator and as your majority leader. And I am proud of the work that we have done. In this race, and I'm going to tell you because you're going to start to see them, and I saw one of them on here. In this race, last week, a couple weeks ago, we saw that there was a crypto billionaire, same industry that is like lining Trump's pockets, right? There's a crypto billionaire that poured $2.5 million into this race to make sure that I don't win in this primary. So that is what I am up against. I was very intent on telling everybody all the reasons that I just told you about why I want to be your next Attorney General and why I think this office is so important, who I am, what I've been fighting for, and why I care so much about this community. It's my hometown, it is my home state, I am raising my kiddos here. That's it. But you're gonna see them, if you haven't already seen them, the attack ads from that $2.5 million that is pouring into this race are out there, trying to paint me as something that I am not. I think you all probably know that better than almost anybody else, because you've known me for 10 years. And so now I'm sort of in a position where you might see some things from me that I don't want to do, but like, I also can't stand here and just let people think horrible things without punching back a little bit. So I know that's uncomfortable. I'm in a primary. It is tough, but I'm trying to earn your vote. And so I would love to answer some questions, and I would love to talk, and yeah, anything you want to know, I would love to. Yeah.
I have a question, comment.
Okay, question, comment.
Regarding early voting.
Regarding early voting.
This was sent from Sun City, Summerlin, to my house in Sun City, Summerlin.
Okay.
It took 3 weeks and 3 days and was routed through Shreveport, Louisiana. Oh, yeah. So how, if the ballots are going to be counted, as long as they are postmarked by election day,
Yes.
it's not going to wait 3 weeks and 3 days to count the ballots.
Let's hope not.
So,
Yeah, that's why I say, like, look, we are in very unprecedented times. We have seen wild attacks, right? The president trying to issue executive orders saying you can't count mail-in ballots, the post office can't accept anything after election day, so on and so forth. Nevada law is very clear about where we stand, but if the Supreme Court comes with a decision that says we can't count mail-in ballots, that makes it really tough, right? That is a legal fight that we will definitely be in, right? I'm sure of it. In Nevada, your ballot will count so long it is postmarked by election day and is received within 5 days. That depends on the post office, right, getting your stuff in. So here's what I will say. If you are going to vote by mail, like turn that thing in immediately if you're going to send it through the mail. If you want to be sure, there are drop boxes. They will be on, when you get the ballot, there's a list of drop boxes on the ballot.
There'll be early voting in Mountain Shadow.
Yes. And there is early voting starting May 23rd. Remember that you can only vote at any place. There are early voting sites in Sun City, several that will be open on different times. Check your ballot because that will also be on there. And remember that on election day, we now no longer also have precinct voting. So you can vote at any place that takes voting. So there are lots of ways to vote. My caution to everybody is if you are going to use a mail-in ballot, the best way to turn that in is in a drop box. Fill it out, put it in a drop box, because those are being picked up and started to be tabulated and counted and all of that by your election officials. And here in Clark County, you know, we do a great job of that. They do in other counties as well, but that's the best way to make sure that your mail-in ballot gets counted. And if that's like, you're like, I don't know about that, early voting, very accessible. Yeah, because some of that is like post office stuff, and I don't know what, you know, it's all insane. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you all very much. I love you. Thank you for all of your support. I want to say that I don't stand here without all of you like having supported me for the last 10 years in tough election fights that have gotten insane and crazy. So like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Senator Canzonero. We do have a few other candidates here. We have a lieutenant candidate here. Sandra, I know you told me how to pronounce your last name, but I'm really bad with silent J's. So if you'd like to introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not phonetical, so it's okay. It's spelled Jaugui, but it's pronounced Howdigi. And so the way I've always taught it when I used to go do payback speaking to 5-year-olds in the kindergarten class, I said it's howdy, like a cowboy, and then like your knee, but with a G, howdy-gee. So you can call me Sandra J as well, that works. But thank you, I know it's late. I do want to take a quick moment just to introduce myself. I'm Sandra Howdigi. I currently serve as your Nevada State Assembly Majority Leader. I'm so happy to be here. I represent a House district down south, so southwest and a little bit of Henderson. I actually was on the ballot for the first time with your Senate Majority Leader, Nicole Cannizzaro. We ran together in 2016. And after 10 years of serving in the legislature, I've had many people ask me, why are you running for Lieutenant Governor now? And the reality is, after I announced I wasn't going to be seeking re-election to the Assembly, I began to see the devastation unfolding in our country last year. And I knew I could not be a bystander and sit on the sidelines. I would be personally mad at myself if this was the year I chose to stop fighting, as Nevadans continue to struggle, as people continue to lose faith in their government and their access to justice, as we saw our government deny Americans their rights in defiance of the Bill of Rights, and as I saw families torn apart because of the color of their skin. You see, my parents immigrated here from Mexico because they saw in our country the ability to build a better life based on a promise of opportunity. And that opportunity, it allowed them to start a small business, buy a home, raise their kids and send them to college, and watch as their youngest daughter, the daughter of immigrants, became the Nevada State Assembly Majority Leader. That's the American dream. My grandfather, in 3 weeks, on May 27th, my grandfather is going to be 102 years old. And to this day, at almost 102 years old, he still receives his monthly pension check. He had the opportunity to climb into the middle class and support his family because he had the privilege of a good-paying, safe union job and got to retire as a Teamster. That is the dignity of work, and that is the dignity of retirement. That's the American dream. But you see, in 2016, I looked around and I felt that opportunity wasn't available to my generation anymore. It didn't feel like it was available to my neighbors and the generations who came after me. And so in 2016, I decided that I was going to put my name on the ballot and fight like hell for that opportunity. And you heard from the Senate Majority Leader. It was 2016. We were coming off a Republican trifecta. And I was running in one of the most competitive districts in the Assembly. It was a seat district and it was Republican held. And many people told me it couldn't be flipped. But we knocked thousands of doors. And we talked about those issues that were keeping people up at night. The cost of healthcare and prescription drugs, the cost of rent and the cost of housing, public education. Is there going to be jobs for us? And we did the work, and in 2016, we flipped that seat. Now, I've been fighting tooth and nail to hang on to that seat. In 2024, I was the only legislative Democrat to win a seat that Donald Trump also wanted. I'm no stranger to hard fights. I'm ready for this lieutenant governor's fight. And we did it because, again, I was able to talk about the things that I've accomplished over the last 10 years in the legislature. You heard Alexis talk about that universal free school breakfast and lunch. That was my bill. For 4 years, I fought for that bill, and twice the governor vetoed it. For 4 years, I carried rent stabilization for seniors because I believe we should be taking care of our most vulnerable population. The governor vetoed it. We led the charge to make sure that we were capping the cost of insulin at $35, and in addition to that, for 4 years we worked on capping the cost of prescription drugs for every Nevadan. Those same 10 drugs that were given to people on Medicare that were negotiated with Medicare through the IRA, the governor vetoed it. 4 years in a row we fought for that. And for 17 years, I've spent my personal professional career in housing, fighting for affordability in housing. I was working on housing policy before it was sexy to work on in 2020, right? I've been working on it. I started doing housing for Senator Reid in 2010, then went over to a nonprofit to be their director of housing, then went to Attorney General Catherine Cortez's office to be her director of her housing program. So I've been fighting for affordability in housing for 17 years, and I'm not gonna stop now. Now, but I want to talk about the Lieutenant Governor's role for a little bit. The Lieutenant Governor's office plays an important role in our state, and a lot of people don't think about it, right? The Lieutenant Governor's office isn't a ceremonial role. It's an economic leadership role. It chairs the Commission on Tourism in a state where tourism is the economic engine that fuels our state. It also chairs the advisory committee on the Division of Outdoor Recreation. That is a multi-billion multi-billion-dollar industry for Nevada, and it needs to be paid attention to. And I tell everyone, I'm not outdoorsy because I'm not a hunter, but I'm outsidey. I like to be outside, so I'm really excited about focusing on ecotourism and making sure that we're bringing a different type of tourism to Nevada so that we're not so dependent on gaming. It also vice chairs the Department of Transportation. That is an important role in guiding infrastructure investments and connecting our communities. And if you look at our current Lieutenant Governor, he's done nothing to fulfill his constitutional duties. He's been fined by the Ethics Department for misusing taxpayer dollars, for using them for his own personal political gain. Like, imagine that. During a time when Nevadans are struggling, they're living paycheck to paycheck. When tourism is down on his watch, he's using taxpayer dollars as a political slush fund. That's not leadership, that's corruption, and to that we should all be saying enough. Enough. Okay. I do have a primary. I'm running for Lieutenant Governor. I've been endorsed by our U.S. Senators Catherine Cortez Masto, by Jackie Rosen, by our entire federal delegation, and I want you to know that I'm taking those 10 years of fight in the legislature to the Lieutenant Governor's office. Thank you.
We have a couple of other candidates here. Want to come up? Give you about 2 minutes to do a quick little elevator speech. Introduce yourself, please.
I know I'm an attorney and we usually talk pretty long, but I'll keep it short. My name is Alicia Murphy. I am going to be on your ballot this year for the Department 2, Las Vegas Municipal Court Judgeship. I do have 3 people in my race, including myself, but I am the person that is consistently appearing in these courts, handling the cases. Every single case that comes before us, whether that's someone who's trespassing in your backyards, whether that's someone who's trespassing in any parks that you might have, petty larceny, that cost gets taken down and we have to pay that. Those kind of cases are already in front of me. In addition to that, I am the lead attorney that handles the DUI cases. These affect all of us. How people drive on our roads affect every single one of us. I want to make sure that when you go to pick up your groceries, that you're making it home safely. So I'm asking for you to trust in the work that I've been doing already to represent you, the citizens of Las Vegas, and vote Murphy for Municipal Court on June 9th. If you like to vote in person, if you like to vote early, I love it. Just make sure you get those ballots dropped. Thank you again.
You're welcome.
Good evening, everyone. I am Judge Jessica Goody. I am your judge right now in Las Vegas Justice Court Department 6, and I'm running to be your next judge in District Court Department 26. So the difference between Justice Court and District Court. So Justice Court is a limited jurisdiction court. I have a civil docket, which means I handle small claims cases up to $15,000. So I regularly tell people I am the Judge Judy of Las Vegas, just a little nicer and not nearly making as much money. District Court is our general trial court level, so it starts at $15,000 and goes up, and it handles gross misdemeanors and felonies. Department 26 was run by Judge Lori Sturman for a long time. She recently retired, leaving an absence of civil experience on the bench. Prior to taking the bench, those are the types of cases I handled: complex business litigation, medical malpractice, business litigation, personal injury. And we don't have anybody in this race besides me who's handled those types of cases that I would be deciding as a judge. I think it's important to have the right experience so the judge is not learning the law on your case. That is who I am, that is what I do. What I say is if you want the courts to get better, get Goody. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for having us tonight, Sunset Liberals. For those of you who I haven't met yet, my name is Dr. James Lally. I've been a cardiologist here in Las Vegas for the last 18 years. I'm running for Congress in Nevada's 3rd District in the Democratic primary. I've been out talking to the voters of Sun City at their doors, and there's 2 things I hear most often, far and away. People say, we have to do something about the cost of living, and we have to fight back against Trump. As far as the cost of living, I think Dems in Congress, they are fighting back against Republicans, trying to take away Medicare, trying to take away Social Security. We need to fight for that. But as far as the cost of living, it's corporate America that is making the cost of living too much expensive here. They're taking money out of our paychecks. They're also taking money at the supermarket, at the gas pump, from our electric bill, NV Energy, with our streaming services. And too many elected Dems are bought and paid for by corporate America to keep things the way they are. We need to fight back against that. I think that's the reason we have so much division in this country, is there's too much economic inequality. And we need to make an economy that works for everyone. As far as Trump, people tell me they are sick and tired of Dems playing nice with Trump. It's 11 years now of Trump calling Dems name, spitting in our face, fighting against us at every turn, and Dems are told, we need to reach across the aisle, we need to play nice, we need to be bipartisan. Dems have said, enough, we have to stop with this. You cannot appease an authoritarian call. And I'm ready to fight back against Trump and fight back against MAGA. So I would say, Sun City, if you're looking for a candidate who's going to fight back against corporate America for an economy that works for everyone, and fight back against Trump and MAGA in their takeover of democracy, I'm your candidate, and I would ask for your vote in the upcoming primary. Thank you. For more about my campaign, please check out my website, lallyfornv.com. Thanks. And thank you.
One more.
I will try to be very quick because I know it's late. My name is Phil Robinson. I am running for Congress in District 3 as a Democrat, like the doctor there. I am a Marine Corps veteran. I did 6 years active duty, then I moved here for a job, and I did an additional 2 years in the Nevada National Guard. The reason I'm running for Congress in District 3 is because we have too many out-of-touch representatives. And there was a time, after having served this country for 6 years active, I felt completely hopeless. I was looking at options to go out of the country. And again, being a service member, I woke up one day and I was like, what the hell? I didn't fight for this country just to run away when the going got tough. So that is why I'm running for Congress in District 3. When we talk about fighting, what they do every time, the Republicans, is they strip Social Security, they raise all of our prices, and they get all these tax breaks. We've got to put an end to that. And so, again, that's why I'm running. I'm running for the people. I come from very humble beginnings. I know what it's like to struggle. I know what it's like to have things taken from you that you've worked hard for, fought for, and some of us have literally died for. If you want to know more about me, my name is Terrell Robinson. Please check out my website, Terrell Robinson for Congress 2026. And if you have any questions, I'm going to hang out. So feel free. Thank you, guys.
Anyone else? Okay. Listen, Janice didn't mention, for the picnic, we need to know how many people are going to be coming, okay? And because we don't want to have hamburgers for 50 and have 70 show up, and we don't want to have hamburgers for 70 and only 50 show up, so, or hot dogs or whatever you want. So.
Be on Facebook. You can go on Facebook.
Or email. Email. W7. Yeah.
J. Schoen, S-C-H-O-E-N, and the number 1077 at gmail.com. Any questions about that? Should I repeat it?
Send out another email on that.
We'll email everybody. Yeah. J. Schoen 1077 at gmail.com. We hope to see you.
Abby, you want to mention about your Facebook page that you have there? I mean, you got like 88 members now?
All right, anybody who is not on the Facebook page, all you need to do is go to SCSLibClub and just press the join button. And be sure to answer the questions, because I'm not going to make you a member if you don't answer the questions, because I don't know who you are. So I need to know who you are.
Don't leave until we pick the winner.
Yeah, the last 2 times the winner left and we ended up getting double money. So, we like that. It makes it better for our picnics and our, holiday parties and everything.
The winner gets $65 because we took in 130. Am I right?
Senator Canzanero, can you post the lucky winner here, please? You're going to be nonpartisan on this, all right? Okay.
Just one.
Okay, 726 979. 726 979.
Thank you. All right, who's our winner? Hey, Marge, congratulations, Marge. Anybody else, have anything else they want to say, or before we close?
Yeah, over here, Norm. Norm, over here.
Yeah, and we do have our Sun City SCSLibClub website, and not website, YouTube, and the meetings will be up there on YouTube. All of them back to January are on YouTube.
Howdy, this is my second meeting here, and I really enjoy coming here. I wanted to talk a little bit about Cinco de Mayo, because it's a celebration most people don't know about. It's a battle that occurred in 1862 in Mexico, where the natives beat the French army. The significance of that was that the French were supporting the South in the Civil War. Once they lost that battle, they brought all their troops out of the Civil War into Mexico. At that point, the North took over and they won the Civil War, and we are the country we are because of what happened on Cinco de Mayo in Puebla, Mexico.
And last May, instead of, because our meeting was on May 5th, we had a Cinco de Mayo party here. And it was catered and the whole shooting match there. We had, so we appreciate thank you very much. Anyone else? Hey everybody, have a great, be safe for it all, and check out the emails when they come. If you are not receiving the emails, please let me or Melanie know, and we can get you on the list, okay? Thank you.